Oh, Rivalry has just been renewed. Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Sammy J Reacts. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the matchup between the San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys in this coming divisional round of the playoffs. But before we get into the video, I want to ask if you could please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're feeling my vibe, and hit that bell notification button to never miss one of my uploads so that we can continue talking about what we love to watch, and that means 49er football, baby. And if you don't know nothing about this rivalry, man, you're probably way too young, or your parents are doing a bad job of teaching you the 49ers history, because real ones know this one means something different. This shit means something to me. Back in the day, this was a matchup between the team of the 80s in the Niners and the team of the 90s in the Cowboys, and every single time they met in the playoffs, fireworks. Like for a good 5-year run, there was a stretch where everyone was just saying, all right, when are the Niners and the Cowboys going to be playing against each other in the playoffs again? And they would make like battle moves, trades, signings in the offseason because they know they were going to be competing against each other. And it's kind of nice to see it's a little rivalry renewed again, because this is going to be the first time since the 90s that the Niners and the Cowboys match up with each other in back-to-back years in the playoffs. If you'll remember, last year they met in the wild card playoffs where the Niners went into Jerry World, beat the shit out of the Cowboys, and then Jimmy Garoppolo happened for a little bit. He threw a bad interception and the Cowboys made a little bit of a comeback. But then this happened. With 8 seconds left in the game, the Cowboys go quarterback draw, down 6 points to try to go for a last-second Hail Mary. The problem is they're not going to have enough time to get back to the line of scrimmage, get the ball set, give it to the line judge, because it is a rule for the line judge to be able to set the ball before they can snap it. And since the Cowboys had no timeouts, that meant game over. They couldn't take their last Hail Mary shot to try to steal one from us, and the game was over. The Niners won, went into Jerry World, did their job. I mean, shit. I was scared in this game because the Niners were dominating, and I would have been so pissed if they lost on some last-second Hail Mary bullshit. But, I mean, at the end of the day, the Niners got the job done. They went on the next week to beat Green Bay, which, I mean, hey, what a great year of playoff football. The Niners in back-to-back weeks beat their two rivalries in the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers. Man, oh man, love it. So now, this coming weekend, we'll get the Cowboys actually coming off of a playoff win for the first time in, shit, I don't even know how long. And they're going to be coming into Levi's Stadium with something to prove, because they feel as though they let one slip away last year. But what they don't know this year is that they're going to be running into a damn buzzsaw, because this team is light years better than the one last year, because they have a quarterback who is expanding that offense, isn't making critical mistakes. And I think this defense is probably better than the defense that they had last year. But man, oh man, I think it's going to be a fun matchup. I think the Cowboys are actually going to be able to give the 49ers a pretty good game. I mean, definitely a better game than the Seattle Seahawks were able to give the 49ers. We all knew that was going to be a beatdown. Some people kind of believed that it wasn't going to be one. And for a half of football, those people looked right. But in the second half, the 49ers finally got those playoff jitters out of the way. It was Brock Purdy's first ever playoff start, so I expected him to start kind of slow. And he did play his worst half of football in that first half against the Seahawks. But then in that second half, once he got adjusted, comfortable, man, this offense is just clicking on all cylinders. And the defense made timely plays when they needed it to. So now that they're comfortable and ready, I think the 49ers are going to be, man, well rested, first of all, because they played Saturday, so that gives them another extra game of rest, because Cowboys played on Monday as well, so that's going to be a key factor. Plus, I think the Niners already going into these playoffs were the most fresh team out of everybody, because if you think about it, a lot of the players that the 49ers had were injured in the beginning of the year, and they're coming back fresh for the playoffs, so it's honestly it kind of worked perfectly. And they also caught lightning in a bottle with CMC and Brock Purdy hitting on our cylinders. But like I mentioned, man, the Cowboys did look really, really good against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but I mean, so did the Niners. The Niners absolutely destroyed them in the regular season. I know there was kind of some hope that Tom Brady could be Tom Brady against the Cowboys in the playoffs, and it's different, but I think we all quickly learned that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are just not a good football team, which is weird because they had a lot of the same players, similar coaching staff. The only thing they lost was Bruce Arians, so who knows? Maybe a leader really does make that big of a difference. But this Cowboys team is clicking on all cylinders as well. They're heading into this matchup thinking that they're going to be able to beat the 49ers, and it's going to be fun. I'm telling you, I think this one's going to be really competitive. There's a lot of key matchups that I really want to dissect and break down. I can't wait to. I'll be doing that in a separate video. This one's kind of just setting the table for our matchup, getting us ready for what we can look forward to on Sunday. But in that later video, I'll go a little bit deeper into the matchups that I want to see and how the 49ers can exploit their defense, their offense, vice versa. It'll be interesting because they have a beast in Micah Parsons, I will say that. I mean, just looking at the Cowboys on paper before doing my deep dive on them, they really have a couple of players to worry about on defense. For me, I think their defense is just a tad bit overrated. Like, I don't want you guys, like, especially if you're a Cowboys fan, to get mad, but they can be had and had well and easily, just like the 49ers defense. I mean, you've seen it. You can exploit any defense, but to me, it's really just they have 3 very key impact players, and they have a bunch of other really good, strong role players. You can have their middle linebackers. Like, their middle linebackers are going to be had easily. Kyle Shanahan's going to have those linebackers confused as hell. But Micah Parsons as a pass rusher is one. He's probably going to be lined up against Mike McGlinchey, which is actually interesting because Mike McGlinchey has been balling out recently. Ever since playing against Max Crosby, he's been lights out. But yeah, I'm expecting them to help and chip on that side anyway. So Micah Parsons, I mean, that's their best player, I think, on the team in general. DeMarcus Lawrence is also a handful, so that's going to be another interesting matchup, especially because the 49ers interior offensive line isn't the best. And then finally, they have Trayvon Diggs, who I think is the new age Asante Samuel. Like, his ball skills, crazy. If you throw the ball to him and he's in the vicinity, you got a 50-50 shot that he might come up with it as opposed to your wide receiver just because his skills are so great. But on the other hand, just like Asante Samuel, he gets toasted and he gets beat a lot. This year actually hasn't been getting burnt too much, but he can be had, and we saw it last year in the playoffs too. Brandon Ayuk was cooking his shit. So honestly, I think Kyle Shanahan's going to have a great game plan for this defense. At the end of the day, I don't see how they're going to be able to stop our running game outside the tackles. Probably inside the tackles, they'll have a much better job just because the 49ers haven't done that great of a job running in between the tackles this year because of their interior offensive line isn't that great, but they can still do it and do it well. Now, I think the most interesting matchup is definitely going to be Dallas's offense against our defense. Like, is this going to be another game against the Raiders where we just can't stop them? Or is it going to be a complete domination like we've seen from the jump? I think it's going to be somewhere in between, kind of like last week's game where Seattle had their points, given the fact that they just have star-studded players like DK Metcalf. But at the end of the day, I trust D'Amico Ryans and the defensive line. I mean, I think that's going to be the biggest mismatch. I think Dallas is starting a couple of rookies, if I'm not mistaken. I know Tyron Smith isn't there anymore, and they have a rookie left tackle who's been playing well. But, I mean, if you're going to have Nick Bosa against him, good luck. You know what I mean? Last week against the Seahawks, the Niners experimented with playing a lot of man coverage and then quarters, which it turns to man eventually. It's zone that turns to man eventually. We play a lot of quarters coverage, if you didn't know that. A lot of people think we play just strictly cover 3, but we play a multitude of different defenses. But we'll see. I think this is going to be a much more zone-focused game. Probably send a lot of stunts, blitzes. You can confuse Dak Prescott. That's the one thing about Dak. Like, he is a good quarterback, don't get me wrong, but I don't fear Dak Prescott. I put him in the same boat as Kirk Cousins, where it's like, yeah, he's a good quarterback, but he ain't Tom Brady, baby. We gonna come after him. But yeah, man, that's gonna do it for me. That's just a quick overview. I'm looking forward to continue breaking it down this week. But yeah, man, that's gonna do it for me. If you enjoyed the video, like the video, man. And if you felt my vibe, I hope you liked and subscribed. But as always, I'm gonna leave you with a bang bang Niner gang. Peace, love, and positivity, everybody. Peace. Oh yeah, don't forget Debo coming, baby. He coming to come snatch them chains, boy. Yee!